the damned barking. It's relentless, echoing through the thin walls of my decrepit apartment. I can't remember the last time I had a good night's sleep. Every night it starts, first a few yaps, then a crescendo into full-blown howling. It's always at the worst times. After I've downed my last drink of the night, teetering on the edge of unconsciousness, it starts. The sound pierces through my foggy mind like a rusty knife. My head pounds, the remnants of whiskey swirling through my veins, mixing with the frustration boiling inside me. I've tried everything to block it out. Earplugs, white noise machines, blasting my own music, but nothing works. The barking always finds a way to seep through, gnawing at my sanity. I've seen the dog a few times. It's a scrappy little thing, with matted fur and a wild look in its eyes. It belongs to my neighbor, Mr. Thomas. Thomas is a weird guy, keeps to himself mostly, but there's something off about him. He's got that vacant look in his eyes, like he's seeing things that aren't there. We've exchanged a few words, mostly me yelling at him to shut his dog up. He just nods, muttering apologies that I can barely hear over the barking. Tonight, the barking starts again, just as I'm about to drift off. I can't take it anymore. The alcohol isn't enough to numb the irritation. I stumble out of bed, pulling on a pair of jeans and an old t-shirt. My head is pounding, my vision blurry, but I know what I have to do. I need to shut that dog up for good. I grab an empty bottle from the nightstand, not sure what I'm planning to do with it, but feeling better with its weight in my hand. I stagger out into the hallway, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. Mr. Thomas's house is right next door. I can hear the barking even louder now, each yelp a dagger in my skull. I bang on the door with my free hand, the other clutching the bottle so hard my knuckles turn white. "Thomas, open up!" I shout, my voice hoarse from the whiskey and lack of sleep. There's no answer, just the incessant barking. I pound on the door again, harder this time. Still nothing. Desperation takes over. I twist the doorknob, surprised when it turns easily in my hand. The door swings open with a creak, revealing the dimly lit interior of Thomas's house. I step inside, the stench hitting me immediately. It's a mix of rot and decay, a smell so foul it makes my stomach churn. The barking is louder now, coming from somewhere in the back. I call out again, but there's no response. The place is a mess, cluttered with garbage and old newspapers. Flies buzz around, drawn to the rotting food and filth. My skin crawls, but I push forward, driven by a mix of anger and curiosity. I follow the barking sound, moving through the house like a man in a trance. The hallway is dark, the only light coming from a flickering bulb overhead. I reach the back door, the barking now almost deafening. I push it open and step outside into the small, overgrown yard. The dog is there, chained to a post in the center of the yard. It's a pitiful sight, wild eyes, matted fur, ribs poking through its skin. It's been left here, abandoned, just like the rest of this place. My heart pounds in my chest as I take in the scene. The dog snarls and snaps at me, its teeth bared. I take a step back, my mind racing. That's when I see it. The ground around the post is stained dark, and there are bones scattered everywhere. Human bones. I stumble back, my breath coming in short, panic gasps. The realization hits me like a freight train. Thomas is dead, and the dog has been feeding on his remains. The bile rises in my throat and I turn away, retching into the grass. I need to get out of here. I turn back towards the house, but the dog lunges at me, the chain rattling as it strains against its tether. It's desperate, driven mad by hunger and isolation. I know I need to act fast. I run back into the house, slamming the door behind me. My mind is racing, trying to make sense of what I've seen. I need to call the police, get help. But my phone is back in my apartment. I start towards the front door, but something stops me. A noise, a low growl, coming from the shadows. I turn slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. There, in the dim light, I see another dog. Bigger, meaner looking. It steps out of the shadows, its eyes locked on mine. I freeze, the empty bottle slipping from my hand and shattering on the floor. The dog advances, its growl growing louder. I back away, my mind racing. I need to get out of here, but there's nowhere to go. The front door is blocked, and the backyard is a dead end. I spot a window, cracked open just enough for me to squeeze through. I make a dash for it, the dog hot on my heels. I scramble through the window, cutting my arms on the broken glass. I hit the ground hard, the wind knocked out of me. But I don't have time to recover. The dog is right behind me, its jaws snapping inches from my face. I kick out, my foot connecting with its snout. I can't shake the image of those bones, the realization that Thomas is dead, that his dog has been feeding on him. And now I'm the next meal. I turn to see the crazed eyes of the dog from Thomas's yard. It lunges at me, knocking me to the ground. I scream, but no one hears. Teeth sink into my flesh, tearing, ripping. Pain explodes through me as I try to fight back, but it's no use. The dog is relentless, driven by a hunger that cannot be sated. As the world fades to black, a realization washes over me as the dog feasts away on me. At least the barking has finally stopped.